with Intention, podcast where we bring you stories from around the globe. Hello, and welcome back to another episode on Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. I'm so happy to be here with you, and today I have a beautiful guest with me, Teresa Johnson Paul. Welcome, Teresa. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what are you currently doing?
I was a single mom. Now I'm an empty nester, but I think once always a single mom, you are a single mom. And I'm from Taylorville, Illinois, which is about 30 miles south of the capital of Springfield, Illinois. My day job is in insurance, and I help families that might seek guidance and what to do for their autistic loved one after high school. And I'm also a codependent recovery mentor. Yeah.
Wow. Well, so glad to have you here on our podcast. I'm sure we're gonna have amazing insights from you. So, you've discovered your passion for writing at a young age in Texas, even winning a statewide essay competition. Congratulations. How did that early success shape your journey as a writer and professional?
Actually, I didn't even know I had a writing ability. It was my reading teacher. I was in an advanced reading class in the 6th grade, and she said, our school's going to do this competition, and then we'll take the best and go to the statewide competition. She didn't ask if I wanted to volunteer. She's like, you're going to do this, and and so then I learned how to do the outline because we had a method about it, and then I strangely won first place. And I remember the topic because they put 3 topics on the blackboard, and one was, what are the qualities of a good friend? And so I just went into it, and I think it was done. I don't know if it's done in pencil, but you couldn't erase anything. You had to draw a line through it, and you just to start over, it's just go from there. And I was amazed. And then when we moved again to Round Rock, Texas, I decided to join the journalism class in the 8th grade, where we wrote the school paper and the yearbook. And this is just junior high, middle school. And we went on a little field trip to the local newspaper, and I saw the printing press. And I was just wowed by this big giant machine that printed all these newspapers. And then when we moved back to Illinois, it wasn't until my senior year that I joined the yearbook class, because that's just the way that school did it. And then I went on to get a journalism degree at Eastern Illinois University. And I spent a lot of time writing. And my goal, I mean, in the 8th grade, when I was writing for the school paper, I enjoyed interviewing people. I enjoyed getting to know things. My grandma even says, well, you're not going to know anything if you don't ask questions. So it was like, oh, I'm giving permission to be nosy. I get to nose into your life, but of course the interviewee always has to agree to be interviewed, but I just enjoyed, getting to know people that way. And then I just find out now that that's just my joy. When anybody asks me, when I was searching for my purpose, and I would talk about my writing, and we'd be on a Zoom call, they would see my face light out, or when I was talking, there's like, I think that's what you're supposed to be doing, is you're writing. I'll take your word for it.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so many opportunities open, right? When you go out there and explore different avenues. And I love that. And even now, I'm doing podcasting, and it's so much fun to interview people. You get into, get to know them a lot more, and it's a collectiveness, inspiring one another. So I absolutely love that. I was reading about you, and you've become a 4-time Amazon International Bestselling collaborative author as well. It's amazing how much you have accomplished. Can you tell us what it feels like to be part of these successful book projects, including the Never Give Up that we both in it together, and how has it impacted your life, please?
Um, I, it was therapeutic for the first one that I wrote, She's an Overcomer, because when they propose the title, it's like I'm like I identified with that. And the person that led the book is actually only 30 miles away, though I've never met her in person. But it's like, so, she's talking to the authors to make sure it's a good fit. And then I tell her about, how I feel like not only have people come into my life to help me along the way, but my faith in God has helped me, stay strong and not give up. And then when the Never Give Up title came out, it's like, okay, Teresa never gives up. I don't know why, so,
Yeah.
and I just keep going,
Yeah, exactly. And it's true. I went into collaboration books just last year, just over a year ago, and it is true. Like you look at the titles, and it's like kind of like it's like they talk to you. It's like, yeah, that's the one. It just sparks that interest in you, and then you go for it. And before you even think about it, the story is already, what story you're gonna write, right? And if you don't, it comes to you because the title is already clicked in your subconscious mind. And like for me, I was when I started personal development 3 years ago, I was going through a midlife change, you could say. And then when the title Midlife Awakening, I'm like, yeah, that's the one, because that's the journey I'm on. And then of course, before I knew it, I jumped into Never Give Up too, because I had yet another story to tell, or two actually in that book. So it definitely aligns with you when you're ready for it. That's what I feel like too. Writing these amazing chapters in collaboration book has definitely been interesting experience, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah. So, as a single parent, you face many personal challenges. Can you share what it was like raising two sons, one of whom was autistic, and how those experiences shaped you as a mother and advocate?
So when my oldest son was first diagnosed at age 2, we already had known something was happening at 9 months because he wouldn't sit up independently. He didn't walk until he was 22 months old. And so he had several delays, but then we wanted to get in deeper as to what was happening. And being born in 95 and getting diagnosed in 1997, autism wasn't very known. I was like, and then when the clinician who diagnosed him told me all that meant, I was very like, this is not, this is not good. And then I grieved for what, when you have a child, you're like, okay, they're going to be successful in school. They're going to have friends. They're going to maybe get married, have a family, have a career. Like, isn't that what we all want for our kids? And we want them to be happy and we don't want them to struggle. And so it wasn't until my son was close to 9, I got something in his backpack about this local autism society meeting. And although I knew 2 people in my community that had an autistic son or daughter, I didn't really feel connected, and I felt like I was doing this alone. So when I went to that first meeting, I felt it was a parent support group and they also had professionals there to ask questions. And it was also that they found out that I could write and they wanted me to help out with the newsletter. So, and then I served on the board for 6 years, but those relationships that I had with those other parents, I still have to this day. Our kids are all older, in their late 20s, but I just feel like they gave to me, I gave back. I was able to get services for my son in my state of Illinois because I said, I'm a single mom and it's hard for me to do everything that I need to do for both of my boys in the evening, help the younger one with his homework and then, do everything for my oldest son. And I became an advocate because not only, this group helped me, but I wanted to help other people find the services and that they needed. So uh, I don't, it was just, and then participating in our autism walk and our golf outing, I would actually talk to our local civic groups like the Optimist Club and the Kiwanis and talk about what is autism and then answer questions at the end because the term would come up and people didn't know what that meant. And then I would say, could you, donate to our golf sponsorship because the money that we had would help serve back the kids for the events that we would do. We also had a grant, because sometimes finances are really hard for families that have autistic children, and what would make their lives easier, there was a grant for that. And so it just, the communities, I just feel like was necessary because there's nothing like being alone that in what you're doing to make you feel like I I don't know if I can do this, but having community and having support from other people is very important.
Exactly. And this is and that is so true. It is so important to have that connections, the community where you can turn to, and vice versa. You can inspire one another and help each other, and build that strength. So, what would you say? How did you find that strength when last year unexpected passing of your son? And I'm so sorry to hear that. But how did you find that strength to continue in such a difficult time?
I think it could be from 25 years in Al-Anon. It's for friends and families of alcoholics, drug addicts, and that. But what I learned is that I had a mind shift. Um, I learned to depend upon my higher power, which I call God, and the collective of the group. And um, there was just, I learned acceptance. I don't always have to like what's going on, but I do have to accept it if I don't want to drive myself crazy mad, insane. And no, I did not like my son passing, but and and I don't know the stages of grief, but I know one of them probably is acceptance. And um, I went to Grief Share. It's a support group of such that lasts for 13 weeks each session, and comes with a workbook and its videos, and it's set in a group. We have discussion. And it's been a journey, although it's been a year and a half. I still feel like I go through my memories on the phone. It's like, I can't believe it was just this long ago that he was at the Special Olympics event or the local special, we have a local group that has dances every month, or, it's just sometimes I ask myself, is this real? And then sometimes I just, and anybody that's gone through grief, you just try to zone out and completely ignore it. And so I'd sit there and binge on, TV, and comedies to just to numb away the feeling of the loss.
Mhm.
So it's a journey. And I also went through some misplaced guilt, and I had to work deeper in that, because my counselor, she handed me a Psychology Today article and said, you just have to, you know, capture that thought in your mind. And I'm like, oh, yeah. The more I try to capture a thought in my mind, the more it ruminates and spins until I deal with it. And so I felt like that I had to go through all the things that the events that transpired. What was I responsible for and not responsible for? And then, it's like, okay, it's not my fault, though I felt an overwhelming responsibility because he was a special needs son. And that he was almost 28, it was a lot of responsibility.
Yes, for sure. It's definitely not easy, and sometimes there's just no words to describe it. But so I'm so sorry to hear that. But also not only you working with autism, you are also a codependent recovery mentor, correct?
Yes.
So can you explain, because like you mentioned a little bit, you can just, yeah, deal with it, it's come, it's gone. But then you actually now became a mentor. So what led you to why did you decide to become a mentor? Sometimes people just run away, you going forward. What propelled you to do this kind of work now?
Well, with my son's passing last year, I decided I wanted to just dig even deeper, like you know, what what is my new purpose? What does God have for me? I don't know what. And it's like you have 25 years worth of experience, and I just feel like there's people out there that don't know why or how they're miserable and they don't know how to get out of it. And um, there are things that you can do regardless of whether the other person is behaving or not, or we can't change other people's actions or their behavior, but we can change how we respond and how we do. And I've learned boundaries. I've learned the gift of gratitude, changing my mindset. I was always a very negative person, and it's 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 actually saved my life because I was so codependent in my former marriage that I felt like I could not exist if I was not in relationship. Like I didn't know how to be. I I knew somewhere deep inside of me I was capable, but until I rose up to be capable, because I was doing it all along, but then I just wasn't recognizing that I was capable. And so I want other people to know that there's more to life than being miserable, being a people pleaser, doing all these things, that we actually have choices. I used to think that I had to do this, I had to do that. Yes, we have responsibilities to our children, but then as they get older, you know, they have responsibilities too, and we don't keep doing things for other people that they can do for themselves. Like if a child's supposed to get a job, you can help them along the way, but so much to the point where they lose their dignity if they are not allowed to do for themselves. And so and everything that I've learned in my recovery is there's a balance, and you can swing too much one way and it's not good, or you can swing too much the other way and that's not good. That even goes to say in parenting. It's like you can't be way too strict and you can't be way too easy. So you got to have a balance. And I think you have to have a balance in life.
Yes, and I completely agree with that. As my mom used to say, anything in excess is never good, and it goes both ways. But just listening to you talking about this huge transformation over the years, it's absolutely mind-blowing. Like the experiences you had to go through, and then the strength to pull through all this, it's absolutely amazing. And a lot of it I can relate to because when I was young, I moved to Canada and I didn't speak any English, and I was in the mindset that just kept spiraling down because I wasn't happy here. I didn't speak the language. It was hard. I had no friends, and the ones I had, it was very little. Um, and then it's just when you start getting into that negative thought pattern, it just spirals. And I also had to one day just wake up and it was like, enough is enough. I don't want to be where I am anymore. And I made the decision. And when I made the decision to move forward instead of keep going backwards, all of a sudden so many new opportunities came to me. And I was able to heal from past You could some of it because there's other things as well. Past traumas. I learned to accept things as well as they were. So it takes a lot of work and strength. So I applaud you for all these things you went through. It's not easy by all means, but you are now have so much experience and you can guide others in similar situations and things like that. So I absolutely love that. So what one advice, I know there's many, but what one key advice would you give to someone who's trapped in the pattern, um, of codependency? What one thing they can do starting today?
Um, there are there are local meetings, and that's what I find is that I was talking to a family member because we have another family member that we deeply love, and it's affected her life. And she openly spoke about it over the phone when I was calling to wish her a happy birthday. And so I started telling her about Al-Anon and that. And then there's Facebook groups that are private groups, and that I've invited her to. And so she was all open to going. And then she's like, "No, I'm good," and I'm like, "Okay," but I say that the you can do the Zoom meetings, that COVID helped with that, especially if you're in a remote location, you could be driving miles to get to a local meeting, but if all else fails and you can't go to an in-person meeting, of course there's Zoom meetings. But then some people don't want to go, and some people are shy. And I know how hard it is to go to the first meeting, because it's like um, that's a moment of courage, to step into that. I also say, you don't have, I can help you, but then also too, they're sponsors, there are free programs, but you got to do the work. I will be honest with you, the first 3 years that I was in the program, I was the most stubborn person. I am a stubborn person by nature. And I would just tell the other people, it's like, well, you don't understand, my qualifier is different than yours. He's doing this, but yours is doing that. And I would give up all the excuses to not do this, to not do that. And we don't tell you what to do. We just suggest that you try this, or this is what's worked for me. And then I was like, maybe, just maybe, I'm tired of being miserable. Maybe I'll try it your way, because I've been trying it for my way for so long and it's not working. And so when I started, working the steps and the traditions, and there's workbooks and books, but to have somebody to be accountable to, somebody you can talk to between meetings, that's what's going to get you out of it. Just thinking about it or talking about it and not putting any action to it is not going to get you anywhere. And I've learned that a lot for many different reasons, action in many things.
Yes. And I
Mhm.
totally agree too. Even in personal development, you hear all these videos, movies, and all these coaches talk about it. Um, and there's many great tools out there. But if you personally don't take actions, inspired actions, and don't do the work, you're not really gonna get too far ahead. I mean, you'll still do it, baby steps maybe, but it'll take a while. Like you really have to commit to yourself. And I was there too. Things I was doing wasn't working, and eventually I had to reach out, have mentors, coaches, and stuff like that who have helped me get on the right track. And does it end here? By all means, no. I will always continue to strive for the best in my life and continue learning and expanding. And because if you don't, you're pretty much gonna be in almost in the same level, right? So, but you gotta do the work. You really have to commit to, yes, I want this for myself. No, I'm done with the old, bring on the new, and keep going forward. That is the key. You have to make that decision. Um, Nobody else is gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
As simple as that. And how long are you gonna keep staying where you are until you reach out, you know? That's a question, you know, I tell a lot of my students, you know, ask yourself, how long do you want to be where you are? Are you still want to be there, or you done? You want to move on and live your best life. Life is really short when you think about it.
There's something to say, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, let me know.
Pretty
We'll
much.
gladly refund your misery. You
Yeah.
know, if this isn't for you, we'll gladly refund your misery.
Yeah.
And I feel like there was one time where I actually was in such deep pain and I was so angry, so full of anger. And my sponsor said, if you want to continue this relationship, you're going to have to go to anger management. And I was such in deep, deep pain that I went. And then on that path, it helped me, you know, because I was self-destructive with all that bitterness and anger. And oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah. Life definitely does teach us
Mhm.
things. So now looking on the brighter things, in October, your son, sorry, your son is getting married, I
Yeah,
heard.
my youngest son.
Congratulations. So, so it's exciting moments for you, and as a mother and a mentor, I'm sure you have many fascinating things coming. So, what's next for you on your personal and professional journey? Any books coming up? Anything?
Uh, I need to stop binge watching TV. Goodness, thanks for the reminder. I need to sit at my
Welcome.
laptop and get on a writing schedule. I want to write about the events that happened last year. I really do think that would help people. And although the things of my health journey was something that's called achalasia, it's ACHALASCIA. I'm not going to explain it. Look it up. So, but anyway, it was just where I couldn't eat and drink, and then I was able to have a second successful surgery. But in the midst of all that and trying to survive, my son passed. But I was told that although there's two different situations going on, they kind of intermeshed, and you'd want to talk about both in a book, you know, and I, as a special needs mom, at grieving the loss, you know, that's also a unique story. Um, and so I I like I know, and I'm a believer, and so I know that God never wastes a situation or a hurt or something that you're working through, because there's going to be somebody out there had gone through the same similar story, and you're going to be an encouragement to that other person. It's like, oh, you've been through it too. You know, you're going to have a better connection with that person, or a better understanding of empathy for that person if you've gone through a similar situation. And so I know, yes, the writing's good for me, but if somebody's going to pick up that book and resonate with the story, it's like, okay, look, she went through all this and she's still making it. She didn't give up. She continued on. That inspires me to not give up and continue on. And that's what I want to do, is I want to inspire others to keep going, you know, and be a light to other people.
That's a great message right there. So, and I believe, you know, that you definitely can help others. You put it well, like, you know, there's so many people out there struggling nowadays. If they can pick up your book that you wrote, and it helps them through their life, you've done your deed, right? So, I'm excited to see when it comes out, so let us know. And of course, for those of you watching, we will post all the connection links to get in touch with Teresa. So you can follow her, get in touch with her, read her books, and so on. Now, our podcast is called Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. What does it mean for you to rise and thrive in your life, especially after the challenges you have faced in your life? How do you live with intention in your daily life and work?
I have the intention of just showing up. It's right at this moment that I just want to get through one day to the next and just show up. I'm serious, right at this moment, that's what I'm doing. So if it's showing up at work or showing up in my friendships, I just want to show up and be there, and um and sometimes it looks different, and I even tell some people, it's like, I'm not afraid to have difficult conversations, because if I continually try to, I'm in this right now. It's like the last year and a half, it's like, it's been hard, but I'd say this summer things started, my, I started enjoying myself without having to pretend to enjoy myself. And I, I say that if you have to have a difficult conversation with somebody, then do so. But I don't pretend to be something that I'm not. And so that's how I thrive, is I show up as me, and that I think everybody should, you know.
I love that. I absolutely love that. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this beautiful episode with Teresa and I. And please feel free to reach out to any of us if there's anything we can help you with. So thank you so much, Teresa, for being here today. Thank you so much for watching us, and I
Thank you
hope you have
much.
a beautiful day. Thank you, everyone. Take care.